course, this product has some very, very dramatic benefits. It activates stem cells, it resets cells to a younger, healthier state. So this will support overall wound healing. Of course, one of the things that stem cells do is that they increase collagen production. So we see this effect called youth renewal, where as people use the product over a period of 1 to 3 months, they notice that their skin has less lines and wrinkles. It's a reduction in the appearance of lines and wrinkles, skin tightening, overall health and appearance of the skin improves, skin tone will improve. And of course, because we're resetting cells to a younger and healthier state, this is going to mean that people have more energy, less inflammation, and the sleep quality even improves. So those are some of the things that we've just done with X49. So as we have looked at how to expand our product line, it's really all been about the next 3 to 5 years of introducing new stem cell products, continuing to expand the tools that people have in supporting health and regeneration of the body. All of these products are completely unique. We develop them here in our laboratories. We patent them, so they're exclusive to Lifewave. And this is a way that we can continue to refresh and build our business opportunity globally. And the ultimate goal that we have is age reversal. So for those of you that attended our convention, whether or not it was live or online, the one that we just had in Orlando, I went into a significant amount of detail on new technology that we've developed that is leading us to reversing the human aging process. That to me is really exciting that we're going to get there. And of course, Lifewave as a company, we want to make this the best opportunity possible for our members. We want to give our members the best experience using our website and our tools and back office. And again, make this the best opportunity possible. So let's get into the technology in a little bit more detail. And for those of you that are already familiar with X39, we're going to be focusing on this call on X49. So as we finish out this year, it's with over 130 patents. And so that will tell you that we're very serious about investing money into research and developing new technology that we can release. We, again, at the November convention, we showed off some of the new technology that we've been using to create new and novel phytoplankton. So this is something that we will release in the future as a health supplement. And we're going to be using this technology that you see in this picture to grow the phytoplankton in a completely clean environment in a what's called a photobioreactor. That allows us to cultivate the phytoplankton with this technology. And the phytoplankton will have some benefits that you can't find with an off-the-shelf product today. But let's just say that it will support the process of health and regeneration. The other advantage and the other reason why we want to grow phytoplankton is that phytoplankton produces 80% of the world's oxygen, and it consumes CO2 as a food. So by growing phytoplankton in very, very large amounts, it contributes to a reduction in global warming. And right now we're in talks with 2 different governments around the world about building facilities offshore in the ocean where we can grow phytoplankton in very, very large volume so we can develop a food supply for fish and increase the amount of fish for food for people, but primarily to reduce the acidity of the ocean and remove carbon dioxide and put oxygen back into the atmosphere. So that's going to be an example of new technology that's coming to Lifewave in the coming years. So Obviously, a big part of our research is in stem cells, regeneration, and age reversal. And we've made some advancements in our research since 2018 that I think are really, really impressive. So the question is, if we already have a stem cell product and we can support wound healing, we can support regeneration, help people sleep better, help relieve pain, and contribute to injury repair, where do we go from here? Well, when we look at our industry or the health industry as a whole, we can see, just looking back in 2020, that the amount of money people are spending just in the United States on health and fitness is massive, right? Over $33 billion in 2021. When we look at supplements, we can see that the number is far higher globally, over 150 billion. So question is, with this amount of money, $180 billion being spent on supplements, gyms, fitness equipment, what is it really that people are trying to achieve? Well, most people want to have more muscle, less body fat, right? They want to reshape their body. As people get over the age of 50 and 60, sarcopenia starts to become evident, meaning age-related sarcopenia is a gradual loss of muscle mass after the age of 30. So by the time someone is age 70, there could be a 30 or 35% decrease in the total amount of lean muscle in the body. And of course, this leads to a decrease in not only strength and stamina, but a decrease in bone density and overall health. So this is a very significant problem, and most people are turning towards exercise and various supplements to try to reverse this process. So what do? You could really just summarize this, that what people would like is to be younger, right? Most people would like to be able to recapture the strength, stamina, and the body that they had when they were younger. And of course, if we could do that, this would be an important step in age reversal. In other words, if people are getting to the age of 70 and 80 and still being physically fit, then this would be transformative, not only for their lives, but also, of course, for the lives of their family. So can we use stem cell technology to regenerate muscle and improve strength, stamina, and bone density? And it turns out the answer to this is yes. And this is what X49 is all about. Our next step towards reversing human aging by allowing people to recapture the strength, stamina, eventually the bone density that they had when they were younger. So let's dig into some of the details on this. If X49 is a stem cell product, what makes it different than X39? Not only that, because they're both stem cell products and they work differently, most people are going to want to use both products together. So the question is, why would the two of them actually be the perfect companion? As it turns out, this question is very easy to answer because X39 elevates a copper peptide called GHK. And GHK, which is a copper binding peptide, is composed of the amino acids glycine, histidine, and lysine. And X49 elevates AHK, which is alanine, histidine, and lysine. So the two of them are related. You can think of X39 as being the mother peptide and X49 AHK as being the daughter peptide. So the two of them are related and they work together. So with GHK, we know from research that levels, first of all, GHK is naturally found in the human body and it declines with age. So by the time we get to age 60, levels of copper peptide have declined by over 60%. AHK is very similar in the sense that this is something that is natural, that occurs in your body, but declines with age. So we're not trying to put a synthetic drug or a synthetic peptide into the body. What we're simply going to do is use light to stimulate the body to elevate its own production of AHK. So we'll get into a little bit more detail about how we do that with our technology. But keep in mind that both of these peptides that are produced by X39 and X49 are naturally found in the human body. They decline with age, and we have a new technology to help restore both of these peptides back to young, healthy levels so you can recapture what you had in your youth. One example is that X49 is going to be especially good for cardiovascular health. It was found in early research with the discovery of this peptide that it elevates production of a growth factor called VEGF, and VEGF will regenerate the endothelial lining in the blood vessels. So we see improvements in the health of the heart. Now, interestingly enough, GHK and AHK, they've actually been known for years. Dr. Lauren Picard had discovered GHK back almost 50 years ago. The problem, though, is neither of these peptides were ever approved by the FDA because they, for a variety of reasons, if you take a supplement of GHK or AHK, it's slightly toxic to the stomach. And really the only way of elevating this peptide before our technology was with injection. And most people are not going to want to give themselves injections daily. And then also that becomes quite expensive. Now, one of the claims that we don't make about AHK, if you're going to look at researching it on the internet, you're going to see that one of the early uses was both in skincare and for hair growth. Growing hair is a medical claim. So we do not make the claim that X49 induces hair growth. So I just want to be clear about that. What we've also seen in our research, which I'll talk about in a little bit, is that to get the best results with X49, you should have a diet that contains alanine. Now, alanine is found in dairy products, chicken, fish, red meat. And so for people that are vegans, we encourage them to take an alanine supplement or include foods that are rich in alanine in their diet. But alanine supplements are inexpensive, and then you'll have the raw materials necessary to make AHK-CU. So there's some unique benefits to AHK versus GHK. So we did clinical studies to look at just using X39 on its own versus using X39 and X49 together. So we have about 9 clinical studies on X49 at this point. One of the real downsides of COVID was that it slowed down our ability to do clinical research. So we had to do a lot of research in-house during the pandemic because the clinics that we were working with, the third-party clinics we were working with, had to shut down during COVID. And then even when they reopened, getting people to participate in clinical studies proved challenging. So this has been a couple of years for us to bring this to market now, but we're delighted that we're able to catch up on this. But there's some ongoing clinical studies with X49 that are really exciting. my first interest in this is that if you look at the literature, the metabolism of the amino acid alanine is associated with tissue repair in the brain and also management of inflammation. So my personal view on this, and this is an opinion, is that ultimately an effective treatment and preventative for Alzheimer's disease and ALS is going to be found through metabolism of alanine. And again, I'm not making a claim about X49. This was just an observation in research several years ago that led me down this road to looking at peptides to affect the metabolism of alanine. So like with all of our patch products, first thing that we want to do is see, does it work as designed? So we did a number of studies now, 3 different clinical studies using blood draws, and where we measure levels of AHK before and after patch use. And indeed, what we find is that using X49 elevates the peptide AHK-CU. We did see a trend with vegans and vegetarians that either they didn't produce enough AHK-CU or the increases were much smaller as compared to people that were not vegans or vegetarians. So that's something that we've looked at in our studies that we follow. So people that participate in our studies, they keep a diary of what they eat, and then statistically we can see it does do any results show up. And indeed, people that have diets low in alanine and lysine have difficulty, making AHK. So again, we recommend if someone's a vegan or vegetarian, go on a supplement of alanine and even more preferably alanine and lysine. We did also see something very interesting. One of the PhDs that we work with is Caitlin Connor. Dr. Caitlin Connor is a graduate of Oxford, and she was 1 out of 10 people selected from a group of 20,000 people that was admitted into a research program that they had at Oxford. And so we've been working with her and her mother, Dr. Melinda Connor, now for the past few years. And one of the things that Dr. Caitlin Connor found was that AHK could affect the chemistry of bone health and trigger osteogenesis. And this was not something that was found in the literature, so it would actually be an entirely new application for AHK-CU. So we did some initial studies, and we're not ready to make the claim yet, but it does appear, in fact, that with continued use of X49, it leads to increases in bone health. Now, there's a lot of factors here. So let's say, for example, you're a woman and you are concerned about normal age-related loss in bone density. Some of the foundational things you'd want to have is a good calcium supplement, balance that with magnesium, have vitamin D and vitamin K to aid with the absorption. And of course, I'm not a medical doctor, so you have to take those recommendations to your healthcare practitioner and see if that's right for you. So under those circumstances, if you had a diet rich in calcium, vitamin D, vitamin K, and you wanted to do something else to support your bone health, and your doctor said it was okay, X49 could be an option. So we're continuing to research this and look at it. So with that said, what kind of benefits do we know X49 produces? Well, the first thing, and probably the most significant, is that people that use X49 build muscle strength and stamina very quickly without the need for any type of anabolic drug. I'm not saying that this compares to an anabolic drug or testosterone supplementation, but this is a non-drug way to build strength, stamina, and lean muscle very, very quickly. And of course, what comes with that is recapturing strength and stamina that was lost to time. One of the things that we saw in our study, and I'll show you some of these results, is that even people in their 70s were able to more than double their strength and stamina after 2 months of use of X49. So that's really exciting. We also saw that results were occurring the very first week. So like X39, where people start to notice, hey, I'm sleeping better. I've got better energy. An old injury is starting to heal. I have less inflammation. In a very similar way, when people are exercising and using X49, they're noticing that they're getting improvements in the very first week of use. We're also showing pretty dramatically that there is a very beneficial positive effect on the cardiovascular system. So let's take a look at one of the studies that we did, and this was over a period of 2 months. And just using X49 by itself, the number of sit-ups that people could do after 2 months increased by over 70%. And bear in mind, people in this study were over the age of 50, with a large number of people in their 60s and 70s. Number of push-ups, over 80% improvement in 2 months. Number of squats, over 47% increase. The strength of a bicep curl increased by over 100% in only 2 months. And grip strength, we measure this with a hand dynamometer, about a 75%, almost a 75% increase in 2 months. So that's a pretty dramatic improvement in health and fitness in a very, very short period of time. But then, of course, in our study, we have a group that's using both X39 and X49 because we know that people want to combine them. So what happens there? Well, one of the things that we did in the study is we put people on an exercise bike and measured a number of different parameters. So going on an exercise bike, calories burned with the combination increased over 90%. Still get a great improvement, over 70% improvement with just X49, but over 90% improvement when you combine the two. Top speed increasing over 27%. How far you can go on the bike increased over 65%. So when we're looking at maximum. And here's where the improvements in cardiovascular health start to show up. A decrease in pulse rate. And we're going to show also an improvement in blood pressure. So what's interesting about this is that X39 and X49 both activate stem cells, but they're doing it in a very, very different way. And the two products are improving health, but through different biochemical pathways. One really significant thing about X49 is that it's not a fat burner, yet people are losing body fat with X49. So that's exciting. So we're going to show some scans that we did. We have a technology that we used, some of you are going to be familiar with, to show how the shape of the body actually changes in as little as 2 months using X49. So here's a gentleman that's 74, and you can take a look at his body fat percentage is 37%, so not very healthy. And this is an actual scan from the equipment that we're using. And I want you to take a look here at his health risk, which is 53% higher than ideal. And this is because of his body composition. So if we can increase lean muscle and decrease body fat, we can improve his overall health. And that's one of the things that this equipment picks up. So as we see after 2 months, what happens is his body fat percentage goes down and his health risk goes down from 53% to 20%. That's astounding. That's an astounding improvement in only 2 months. Let's take a look at this side by side. So you can see the change in the body shape. And then let's look at it before and after. So here's the before, and there's the after. Significant change. So, if you're on today and you're thinking, well, I'm in my 60s or in my 70s, is it, too late for me? That's what's so exciting about this, is because these products are helping to reset the cells to a younger, healthier state. So as long as you're creating your foundation, and if you can't do this yourself, please speak with a healthcare practitioner that can help guide you in proper diet, proper supplementation, making sure you're getting at least 7-8 hours of sleep each day, drinking enough water, and so forth, and getting enough exercise, of course. So you create your foundation, and as long as you have, enough essential fatty acids in your diet, you have enough protein, you're hydrating properly, doesn't matter. This study shows that even if you're in your 70s or even above, you can still recapture strength and stamina. So that's really exciting about this technology. Of course, we're also hoping that we are going to prove that this increases bone density. We've got some initial indicators that it does. Just want to collect a little bit more clinical data. One of the really interesting things about this, I personally love to exercise. I'm 58 and I can outperform where I was in my 20s. So I love these products. They've had a dramatic benefit for myself. And one thing that you're going to notice is that you recover much more quickly than you would without these products. This is going to show up that you're not as sore as you might be without using X49. So that's a huge benefit. So we spoke a little bit earlier about how this supports the health and function of the heart. This is some of the data that we captured. Whereas the products are being used synergistically. We had found in our initial tests with X39 that if people had high blood pressure, it would reduce their blood pressure going towards normal range. So this was important that we would look at both X49 separately and X39 and X49 together. And as you can see, the combination of the two, we hit statistical significance at reducing blood pressure. So that's really exciting. It doesn't mean, by the way, that if you have low blood pressure, it is going to decrease blood pressure further. What we think is happening is that because X49 has an effect of supporting the repair of the endothelial lining. The endothelial lining is where the body makes nitric oxide. So we get an increase in nitric oxide that causes vasodilation, and this reduces blood pressure. So that's a hypothesis at this point. But statistically speaking, we have seen decreases in high blood pressure. So that's really exciting. We're also doing some studies now. We're doing one with a functional MRI where we are looking at how X49 and X39 improve the function of the brain over time. We had done a clinical study with Dr. Gaetan Chevalier on X39. So we know X39 activates the stem cells in the brain. As a result, we get an increase in GABA, in BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and this causes activation of stem cells. So as a result, we see that people that are using X39 for 3 to 6 weeks, they get significant improvement in overall cognitive function. So their memory improves, even the speed at which their brain will process information improves with X39. So we're seeing similar things with X49, but through a different pathway. We're still studying what the synergy is between the two. But we see each product independently will improve cognitive function. So this is, of course, very, very important. Again, when we look at people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, not only do we want people to have recapture the muscle strength and stamina they lost, but of course, we want people to recapture cognitive abilities. So these products are supporting that as well. There's a really interesting phenomenon that we are exploring with X49. We're not ready to make the claim, but we have some initial evidence that X49 can reduce the impact of 5G, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi on the brain. So stepping back from this just for a moment, we know that cell phone radiation can cause tissue heating in the brain. So this has been very, very well established now for at least 10 years. If you're interested in looking at this work, you can look at University of Colorado School of Medicine, and they published a number of studies using this technology, medical infrared imaging or infrared imaging, to look at tissue heating by cell phones. So we know this phenomena occurs. So the problem is, because Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and now 4G and 5G are ubiquitous, they're everywhere, it's not good enough to just put something on your phone to block the radiation. You know, we are in this soup of synthetic man-made radiation. So what can we do? Well, both X39 and X49 bind to copper. And there's something called a Faraday cage. Faraday cage is made of copper screen that's grounded. And as a result, this will prevent electromagnetic radiation from getting inside or past a Faraday cage. Well, the hypothesis that I had was, if we could elevate peptides that bind with copper, we might be able to form a biological Faraday cage and reduce the impact of cell phone radiation on the body. This is part of the miracle of God's creation. The miracle of our bodies is that they can adapt. And we have mechanisms, things that are completely natural, whether or not, we're talking about new viruses, attacks on the immune system, or on our health. The human body was created to adapt to these challenges. So it appears that by elevating peptides that we have in our body when we're younger, by elevating these peptides and linking them with copper, we can form a biological Faraday cage and reduce the impact of this man-made radiation on the body. So that's something that we're exploring. So in summary, the goal of X49 was to take the success of X39 and build on our stem cell line, build on the benefits, and offer a stem cell product that had benefits other than what you could get with X39, and of course, continue to take a step towards age reversal. And in the process, we would be able to reach new markets with X49 and continue to expand our business opportunity for our members.